I'm Dr. Dani Portillo, and I'm the Superintendent in the Roosevelt School District in South Phoenix. Wow, well, when I was a little girl, I was in Honduras. That's where I was born. I'm very proud of my origins. Humble beginnings, right? And my family especially had more humble beginnings than what we did. It was fun. I remember playing in the mango fields and playing with my cousins all the time and just having a great time being a little kid. Going to church, the mass at the big cathedral in the Central Park. And that's a lot of the beautiful memories I have from being a little girl. Then I grew up here in actually Central South Phoenix, over by Buckeye and 13th Street, not too far from the station here. And at that time, I know that I had the love of my family and my little brothers, but also there was a little bit of uncertainty about, being away from my other family and what I had grown up in. And it was hard. I faced all of the challenges that any immigrant family coming to the U.S. first faces. Though our parents try to insulate us from as much of that as possible. It was a tough time. So some of the culture shock that I faced is being in a big inner city. At the time in this part of the city, people called it the crack epidemic at that time. I hadn't been exposed to that kind of thing. My life was pretty wholesome. Though we were not rich, we had a very wholesome upbringing. And coming here to the U.S., that was a big shock to me to see people that were on the streets or doing drugs. And I think one of the biggest culture shocks for me was not seeing green everywhere. Just the plants and the trees that were everywhere in Honduras. We didn't have that here, especially in the area that I grew up in. So that was a huge culture shock, being away from my grandparents, my grandma, especially, and my tia and my cousins. It was difficult. It was a difficult time. As soon as we were able to travel back and forth, after we were able to work on some of our documents, and then my parents had been able to save enough money, what they did is that they did a great thing for me for that time in my life, and it also has had a wonderful impact on me now as an adult, is that they would save up and send me to spend my summers and sometimes my winter break in Honduras. And that kept me proud of my heritage. It helped me to see what my heritage actually is and not just what people say about it. And I think that when you know all the great things that you're from, it helps you act that way, like you're from good stock or from deep roots. And that's something that I really will always thank my parents, that they gave us this great opportunity here in the U.S., but they also kept us very connected to where our roots are. So when I was in college, I thought that I was going to be more than likely an engineer. I had other aspirations, and I know the whole world was open to me. When I decided to be a teacher was when I started volunteering at schools through a community service organization, a sorority at ASU. And that's where I started to see the impact I might have on young people, and then my ability to be able to connect with a lot of the kids that we were serving because of my background. I always have been a strong leader, and again, my parents brought me up to be a leader. So I saw this potential of being able to lead my community through the service of youth. And that's what attracted me to education, and also to the career path that I've taken within education. My parents always nos inculcaron that we could do anything. So I never really saw things as obstacles, but maybe just bumps or challenges before me. One of the things was a scholarship. So pursuing scholarships and being persistent was really something that helped me to be able to have that financing to help my family, help me to go to school. And really leveraging building relationships and letting people know what I wanted to do with my future Should they invest in me? It's expensive to go to school, right? Not only the tuition, but also you're not working and bringing in income during that time, but it's well worth it. So the financial aspect was something that might have been a challenge. However, my parents were ready to step in if they had to, and they did help me some, but I also was very grateful to receive scholarships. The other thing is my English and writing. So English is a second language, and I went to great schools. I had great teachers who invested time in me, but I really had to take advantage of the tutoring services that were at ASU to really develop my writing and continuously keeping on schedule so that I could submit my papers ahead of time and have them reviewed by the tutoring area. That was great. So yeah, when I would go back to Honduras, my tia Ana Rosa, she was the administrator of one of the high schools there, and I would go to school with her and then read and attend class with the students, but also read in Spanish. My parents here, they had bought an old almanac and an old encyclopedia, and then I had to research. At home, they would give me topics to research, and then I had to write my reports in Spanish. But I think that love of our language as well is something that I'll always thank my family for, is that they helped me to develop Spanish. And even though sometimes now I get tongue-tied if I haven't spoken Spanish for a while, it's such an asset to be able to interact and be a great representative for our district in Spanish. It was a great opportunity to be able to go to school during those summer breaks or those winter breaks and just sit in the classes and interact with the other students and learn from the teachers there. So I have a huge responsibility, and I carry that, and I know that the school system that I lead can make a great impact for generations on the students that we serve. Right? So just knowing that every decision that I make for the fiscal stability of our district, for the programming of our district, the type of culture that we're building in our schools, all of that will impact the individual children and our staff and their parents for generations to come. And that keeps me going. I see myself in all of our students, those that are immigrants like myself and those that are not, or those that came from other places, not Latin origins. I still see myself in them because we serve a population that is beautiful, that has great opportunity, that has great potential, and that's going to help to shape our state. I know the kids in our classes are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, and that sense of responsibility and duty keeps me going when I'm tired. It inspires me when I feel defeated, and it makes me smile when I see them. I think it was on Tuesday, I had a challenging day ahead of me, and I pulled up to the district office and I saw a mom walking down one of the parking lots with her little boy. He must have been 3 years old or so, probably enrolling in one of our preschool programs. And he was just jumping up and down, and seeing her big smile on her face and his excitement to be enrolling in school. That was exactly what I needed to see at the beginning of a very challenging day. Yeah, so just knowing what they will do for our state in the future is what keeps me going. So I think as a woman, it's important that we don't set our own limitations, that we know that the strengths that we bring, many times naturally as women, of being nurturers, of being listeners, of being able to have a good aptitude to notice what's going on around us, organization, all those are leadership skills that help us to be strong mothers and strong family women, and also great leaders. In fact, universities develop their executives with those top skills. Those are the skills that they're developing in their executives that they get sent to them from all these top companies, and they send them to these big universities to learn the things that come naturally to us, especially as Latina women. And those are assets that, if they're valued in Fortune 500 companies, why do we limit ourselves, and why do we see that we may not be able to lead just like men can? I think that we can do it better. because oftentimes we don't have to learn these skills. They're natural. When we go to the leadership programs, they're just refining these skills and helping them come up. So we shouldn't put limitations on ourselves. And then also we need to bring up other women, and as women who have reached a certain level in their career, searching for, not just waiting for a young woman to ask us to be their mentor, but searching for the next generation of leaders. And as a young woman coming up, searching for those women around you who might be able to support you, and then allies that we might find in men that know that women have value and that women have potential in leadership. Many of my mentors starting out were men that had that noticed that leadership potential in me. So I would say, whether it's a woman noticing that potential in you or whether it's a man noticing that potential in you, step into it. Don't step away from it and think this isn't the right time for me, or all these things that we put before us to stop us from moving forward. Lean into that. If someone recognizes something in you, you got to step up and say, yeah, that's right. And if somebody hasn't recognized it in you, and it's important then to step into opportunities, volunteer, and highlight the strengths that you bring. These are strengths. They're strengths that are very common in our community. They're very common in our gender, and we need to highlight them and utilize them. I do consider myself a role model. I think that I was so fortunate to be able to come after people that have already opened doors for me. And I understand that part of my duty is to open doors for other people, other Latinas, Black women, women in general, and also our allies, our male brothers, right, that are ready to step up and do the right work for the youth of our state, to help them to become the leaders of tomorrow. I think that my successes also are the successes of those that came before me and those that will come after me. And I also take very seriously the responsibility that when I have a shortfall, it might influence others' perceptions of themselves being able to step into a role like mine, or others' perceptions of people like me stepping into these roles. So it's a double-edged sword, right? I'm excited to be in the role that I'm in, and I also know that I carry a huge duty for those that are coming before me, after me, and then those that came before me. So I think it's very important that we help young people understand where they're from, and that they see the history, the positive history, and the influence that Latinos have had on the United States. Oftentimes that doesn't make it on the news, right? And we have to then make sure that we're shaping the narrative, right? That we're telling our own stories of what our kids can be, what kids before them have been. So we have to shape the narrative so that kids understand everything about their culture, not only what makes it on the news. It's important that they see themselves as leaders, that they see themselves as scientists, that they see themselves as business people, as bankers, all the great things that are out there, not only what they might see on the front page of the paper. And I believe that parents also can do that by pointing out all these people around them who might look like them, who might be from places like where they're from. Also, when they take them to the supermarket, they might say, mijo, there's scientists that develop the best type of oranges that can survive in cold climates, for example. And then there's other people who are the ones that look at the market so that they can know what kinds of oranges to invest in. And now they are here in our supermarket. Do you think you want to be the kind of person that works on that? Do you want to be a business person? Do you want to be a scientist? Do you want to be the traffic engineer that develops the freeways that they're transported in? All of those conversations introduce in kids this idea that they will be something else and that it's limitless, right? So a simple visit to the supermarket, a simple visit to anywhere that they go, having those conversations generates in kids this idea that they might be the ones who are doing all these jobs. And they can be, and even jobs that we haven't thought of yet. But the idea is for kids to not see limits for their own future and know that they can do all kinds of things, again, to make our state better. And I focus specifically in Arizona because this is where we live, and we have to be proud of where we are and also be very proud of what our roots are.